Have you ever wondered how your sales performance compares against your competitors and peers? The B2B Sales Benchmark Report provides the definitive guide to what success looks like in 2021. See how you compare in terms of win rate, sales cycle, average deal value, relationships, and engagement. You can see the results and get the full report at ebsta.com/B2B-sales-benchmarks. This is Sales Ops Demystified, the number one most downloaded podcast in sales operations. We invite the brightest minds in sales operations onto the show to deconstruct the why, what, and how behind rep productivity, forecasting, metrics, and all things revenue. This podcast is brought to you by Ebsta, the leading customer engagement platform for Salesforce. Welcome to another special episode of Sales Ops Demystified. We are joined by Ondrej Bosak of Exponea. Ondrej, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot.
Now, sorry to jump in, but I've been waiting to get someone on from IBM onto the podcast. And here we are. Ondrej spent 6 years at IBM, right?
Correct.
And at one point, we were running not sales operations, but operations for the asset management department.
Correct.
Cool. And then more recently have moved over to what looks to be a younger and more nimble business, and where Ondrej is currently running revenue operations. So welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, and thanks for your introduction.
So how do we initially get into... but actually, with your current role, you were in sales ops before you transitioned into revenue operations. Okay, cool. So how did you first get into sales operations?
I think it all started actually at IBM. When I was thinking about a question, I really think it's like combination of two roles I had at IBM. The first one was, being an operations lead for asset management in the logistics area. So primarily, I was responsible for, building the processes, looking at the metrics, making sure that there is an ownership behind the processes, highlighting the gaps, and basically fixing the gaps in the logistics process. And also, it helped me to really develop, I would say, project management skills, because I was also responsible as a sub-project lead to deliver the ordering application within the IBM for internal hardware software. So this was like first part of my skills I built for an ops manager position. And the second one was also at IBM when I was client experience advisor for senior salespeople at IBM. So basically, I communicated with country general managers, with regional directors about the client experience and making sure that the client's voice is here and listened through the surveys. So here it really helped me to develop and to understand C-level salespeople, and to make sure that I'm able to get the buy-in from their side.
Got it. And why did you then transition over to join Exponea?
Yeah, I was really looking at something, I would say, smaller. So basically to be more, let's say, in the business, because previously at IBM, I basically supported the region when I did not sit. So I wanted to have more, strong connection, especially to the sales cell, and to understand in more details, and to really be, let's say, in the kitchen of the sales. So that was one of the reasons why I changed. And basically, the Exponea it was originally a Slovak-based company which moved to the new markets.
Got it. And right now, how many people in the revenue ops team, and how many salespeople are you guys supporting?
Mm-hmm. So basically, we do have the structure where we have a team which is called business operations, and primarily, the revenue ops is basically me. Then we have a data and reporting team who is more looking at the data quality things. We do have also accounts receivable specialists, billing specialists, and also marketing operations lead. So basically, we have a technically skilled people. We have people who are doing, the daily job, like for example, invoicing, accounts receivables, and then we have people like me or my colleague from marketing, and we are more looking at the business insights and supporting our C-level in the strategic decision within the company. In case of salespeople, we do have around 15 to 20 sales reps, and also then we have a sales development people, also around 15 people. So that's it.
Got it. And what's the current tech stack at Exponea?
Yeah, actually, I would start with a CRM system because I think maybe I would be the only one who did not use the Salesforce yet.
Really?
Because actually, I used the Sugar CRM before. We did use a Pipe Drive. I'm not sure if you hear about those guys.
Yeah.
And now we are using a Copper, which used to be called the ProsperWorks. They are US based CRM system. And actually, it's a great tool for small and medium sized companies like we are. We also do have Google accounts, and it has a very nice native integration with our Gmail suite. So basically, you can do a lot of actions within your Gmail account, and you can see them directly and in a CRM. In case of other key tech stack, it's definitely Tableau for analytical purposes. So we are more focusing on the quality rather than quantity. So we really try to build the reports which are aligned with our widely important goals in the company and with the KPIs. Another tool which is pretty new for us, and but it's a great tool to use, is SimilarWeb. SimilarWeb we really use to identify the traffic of our potential customers and existing customers, and also understand more details, like for example, what is your month-to-month change in case of traffic, or year-over-year traffic change. Our customers and potential customers are primarily the online e-retailers. So traffic is one of the most important indicators to understand, how they are big, and also if they are a good fit for our company and if we are fit for them. So we are using a SimilarWeb for identification of ideal potential customers. For example, what I also developed this year, or at the beginning of this year, is exactly, to use exactly for commissions. I'm pretty sure exactly, based on my knowledge, is like the leader in commissions. So we do use exactly. For example, for us, it's important to get information about tech stack of potential customer. So to understand like what tools they are using, because really Exponea is the tool which sometimes replace multiple tools on the customer side. So for us, it's definitely very important to understand what tools our potential prospects are using to really run then the effective campaigns against those. What my marketing counterpart, what he's very patient about is SalesLoft. So basically, he's using the SalesLoft for this automation and email communication to our potential prospects, setting the cadences in the right time to make sure that the conversion from the lead to opportunity will increase.
Got it. Can we now talk about your relationship and interface with the sales reps and the SDRs. What are you guys currently doing to make them more productive?
That's a great question, and that's also the tough question, right? I think like one of the things which is very important is, from my perspective, cooperation um, with a VP of sales. Because if there is a healthy relationship with a VP, and when I can feel his pain, and what are the things I can help him with, these are one of the things which are super important for me, right? Because how do I see a sales operations is at the first point to really help, regional directors, VP of sales, and of course, I'm trying to help sales reps through effective CRM system. But like what is most important and what I'm trying to achieve is really to provide insights, especially to VP of sales, VP of client services for a client success part, for upsells, and then for a sales development part, to make sure that they have all insights. And I'm sitting on the data, and I want to provide a meaningful and actionable insights to those guys to make them more productive. So to really show them, for example, right now in case of accounts, to set the right thresholds for the accounts we want to target, right? We don't want to be focused on many items, as we are opening a lot of new markets. Sometimes it's difficult to be focused on the right things. So really shaping the strategy based on the data and insights we got. So that's the most important part on it. In case of sales reps, the most critical part for me was when we were switching from the pipe drive to copper, to make sure that that the system will work fine, and there will be still the user experience on their side, right? Because sometimes we build the CRM systems to make sure that the sales management is happy about it and they get what they need. But I really try to make sure that also the users are happy, and it's not making a ton of work for them, but basically it's making their life easier. Also, what I'm always trying to convince people around me is to really hear all level in sales. So from sales rep to regional director to VP of sales, because sometimes they have different kind of problems or issues they are trying to resolve. So if you do not have a good connection with them, you can lose also the information which is not maybe indirectly on data, or you don't see it from the data, but you hear their voice, so you can hear like what are the issues they have on the regular basis.
Yeah. Cool. And then if you were to do one of those things or implement one of those things based on the data to make them more productive, how would you go about rolling out the process so that it would actually be accepted?
Yeah, that's also a great question. I think there are primarily two things I'm thinking of. Like one, and it is connected to my previous answer, is to make sure that the VP of sales is happy with it. He is very reasonable and respected guys in our organization. So if he is asking something for, like, people understand that this is something we really need to do and it will help us to move forward. So firstly, to get buy-in from the VP of sales. Then I'm thinking about two additional things. When there is a complex change, like for example, when we were switching from CRM system to another one, or when we decided to use a new sales commission software, I'm always trying to approach, I would say, kind of power users or people who are well respected within the sales organization. And when I convince them, and when I can hear them, and when I can hear what they see as a potential problems, I usually cover all potential problems, and then it's easier for me to get buy-in from entire sales organization. The third one is actually the training material and the presentation itself. Because if the presentation is not very strong, you don't understand the value out of the change. people will not care about it, especially salespeople, right? So what I'm really trying to do when we are changing something and we want something new from the sales guys, I spend a lot of time on material, on the presentation itself, to make sure that that it's understandable and it's clear why we want to use it and why we want to move forward a certain action.
Got it. And yeah, we haven't actually had that before. Actually focusing on the documentation of the change is definitely an interesting way, definitely an interesting strategy. Okay, cool. And then you mentioned earlier that you had a separate kind of team or number of people there to manage data quality. So are you not responsible for data quality? That's it.
Correct. I would say in a certain aspect. So, for example, sales forecasting is obviously very sensitive topic for sales operations, and basically my KPIs are also set based on the accuracy of a sales forecast. So for me, it's a very sensitive topic where I'm taking care of more like not if the data is filled, but if the data is accurate. So in case of the accuracy and sales forecasting, that's part of the part of the data I kind of owned. However, in case of the data, for example, we have a new customer and we want to make sure that we have all necessary details to do the billing right, to do the client success part, to make sure that we create the account in our application for them. Like this is up to data and reporting team. They did it great. I really must admit them because they also created data quality reports in Tableau, where you can basically see the data quality on the department level, on the individual level, and you also can see like what certain fields needs to be updated. So it's very actionable and it gives you a great overview like what is our actual data quality. So again, great reports, actionable reports, and it works fine, much better than like a year ago. There is a huge step forward.
Sure. And do you have any tips for onboarding new reps? I assume you guys have recently.
We do have a sales enablement leader who is directly under VP of sales in our organization. And he is primarily responsible for enabling people to make sure that they onboard very fast. What I did not mention and what is the tool to use for sales enablement is basically Showpad, where you can easily go through a different kind of material. You can search within the tool very easily different topics. This is something what we were missing like a year ago when we didn't have centralized tool where sales rep can check or can access and can get them meaningful information, like for example useful use cases for potential customers, understanding the sales process end to end, really different kind of information like how the quota should look like, really all this level of detail. This is from my perspective key to make sure that during the onboarding everything is going as it's supposed to go.
Got it. Moving on to the sales forecasting process, and you said your KPIs are aligned with the accuracy. So are you actually producing the forecast, or are you working with the sales managers? Like how does that process work?
I tried both actually. Like when I started to look at the sales forecasting more deeply, I definitely was engaged more with the sales managers and with the sales guys to understand individual level and individual deal. However, like once we move forward and once I see that there is a strong management system and strong people on the regional director roles and VP of sales, I can fully rely on their judgment and their, I would say, quality of work, that I know that we do not forecast something which is totally off. So primarily, I'm working with a VP of sales and regional directors. They have a very strong management system around their sales managers. As our sales cycle time is around 90 to 100 days, We do especially forecast for upcoming month, and then we do have the forecast for a rolling 90 days. We use a different approach for monthly forecasting. It's more subjective, or there is also subjective part of it, where sales managers are categorizing the deals based on commitment. So if the deals are committed, so basically we are only chasing signature and there is no commercial or technical blocker, or it's a 50-50 deal, which means that there is still some technical commercial work to do. However, we are very confident to close the deal this or next month. And then there are upsides, which are deals which can happen. Definitely, they are not dependent on miracle, and we do have the action plan. But there is something, there is something about the deal. So, for example, if that's a deal which is not from our typical industry or vertical, where it's sometimes difficult to get it done, or it is from the country region where we do not have the legal presence. So sometimes it's more difficult to be aligned on legally on the stuff. So that's our monthly forecast. So commitment and the stage, and then based on this information, we put together the figures. My threshold for accuracy is 80%. So what I'm trying to achieve every month, that the sales forecast is still at least 80% accurate, which sometimes it's not that difficult to forecast. Sometimes it's pretty difficult when your pipeline, when you have a big players in the pipeline, and one deal can really affect your actual month achievement. In case of 3 months rolling forecast, this is more, I would say, statistical approach. So we are looking at the conversions from the certain stages, and we also take into consideration the slip rate. So we calculated the slip rate for this year, what is usually slip rate from month to month. And based on this fact, we also apply a slip rate to conversion rate. And again, we have, or I have a KPI to make sure that it's at least 80% accurate.
Awesome. And then focusing on metrics, is there a single metric that you find the most valuable right now?
For us at this stage is all about the growth, right? We are a company which is in the category of revenue from 10 to 20 million. So growth is for us the number one thing. So obviously the contracted annual recurring revenue, especially year-to-year comparison, and the growth month-to-month are the most critical metrics for a company.
Got it. So you're tracking every month how much have we grown, and then
that definitely they're also mentioned this month or after 3 months. So we are also focusing on that area a lot. But the critical thing is growth. So sales forecasting is super important. And the very next step, how to move forward, is to have a better traction on the sales development part, and how much time it takes us, to even build opportunity, and how many activities we need to get there. Mm-hmm. I must say that right now we are we agree that we don't want to track much activities. We want to see results, right? So previously we used to also track, for sales reps, number of emails, number of calls, number of meetings. We are much more focused right now on the obviously the achievement against the quarterly target, and also then how the pipeline looks like for upcoming 90 days. So, if you see these two figures together, how the salesperson is performing, right? So if someone is not able to deliver, but he has a very strong pipeline because he has a very strong and big customer, obviously you need to take into consideration this information. So, to have your achievement, how much revenue you booked, and what is your pipeline for upcoming 90 days. That's the most important thing. Correct. Actually, yeah, sorry. Actually, we decided to, when we build the Tableau dashboard, and like half of the dashboard is including these two information, we decided to turn it on in the London office on the TV to make sure that people can see that every time, every day. Yeah. Actually, it also, I would link it to the different roles I had.
Yeah, that's nice.
So when I was at IBM, the
final
great
question,
mentor I got
sales operations has kind of
in the
guided
asset
you
management was my direct manager, and also the project manager, which showed me how to do the project management right. Because then I realized that there are not always that many strong project managers. So definitely these two gents. And then I'm also having a mentor right now. I never met him face to face. So I would love to meet this guy. He used to be also sales operations in the company, which is doing pretty much same thing as we do. And based on the first interactions I had with him, he is a super skilled guy, and he is able to answer on all my questions. So I would definitely love to meet him in person. Michael Barrett. Actually, I don't want to misspell his actual company. So Michael Barrett. I can shoot you his name after the session.
Which company? Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Ondrej, that brings us to the end of the interview. Thanks so much for your time. I like the piece about your focus on documentation when you're trying to influence salespeople. No one's brought that up before. People have always said, present the idea so it's attractive to them, so they can see the value, they can see how much more commission they'll get. But actually having documentation that has that and is solid, I think is really valuable. A piece about metrics when you're judging salespeople that focus on results, not necessarily other things around that are not directly correlated.
Thank you very much for your time.
Of course, showing that in an office is also can be super influential as well. So that's what I liked. Thank you so much for your time and for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Sales Ops Demystified podcast. If you are listening on a podcast listening application, then please subscribe, rate, and review. And if you have any questions about the show, if you know a guest, or if you have any questions about sales operations, just hit me up at tomhunt@ebster.com. That's tomhunt@ebster.com.